Chris, maybe we could start with you. That last headline that Susanna read out, Prince William on the front of the Sun this morning. They say sensationally intervening with the row over the interview that his mum gave with Martin Bashir for 1995 for Panorama, saying it's a step in the right direction and would help establish the truth. It's fascinating watching this with the backdrop of The Crown, of course, which launched on Sunday, and all of us, if you're watching it, reliving those years that Princess Diana met Prince Charles and sort of became part of the royal family. What do you make of Prince William standing up and being so public about this?
Well, you know, I have to say it's highly unusual for a member of the royal family to comment on something such as this, like an investigation launched yesterday by the BBC into exactly how Martin Bashir managed to persuade William's mother in 1995 to do that sensational interview. Let's just remind ourselves, 23 million people watched it at the time. This was at the height of the Charles and Diana marriage breakup. It actually, at the end of that interview, the Queen ordered both Charles and Diana to get a divorce and lance the boil, if you like. And I think you're right to point out that anyone who's watching The Crown at the moment will be reliving this, although we should always point out that The Crown isn't a documentary, it is drama, it is fiction, loosely based on some historical facts. But the fact that Williams intervened, in this, and all the allegations surrounding Martin Bashir, what he may or may not have done in order to get his mother to agree to that interview, is very unusual, highly unusual for a member of the royal family to do such a thing.
Well, it all surrounds how Martin Bashir got the interview with Princess Diana, doesn't it? I mean, there were numerous interviewers at the time who wanted to secure it. And, of course, her brother, Earl Spencer, alleges that she was shown false bank statements, which kind of fed into her fear that she was being watched, she was being spied on. And I wonder what the princes think about that interview. I mean, this is quite an extraordinary intervention from Prince William. Have the boys spoken out about this interview before?
We've not heard from Harry at all about this, and the comments from William came quite late last night and took us all by surprise, saying he hopes to get to the truth. And actually, if you look at some of the allegations, as you rightly point out, they involve claims that Martin Bashir asked a graphic designer to fake up some bank statements. That graphic designer spoke in an ITV documentary last week for the first time in 25 years. And those bank statements, for anyone who doesn't quite understand how it worked, were to show Earl Spencer to claim that a member of his staff was being paid by a newspaper, even to suggest that this same member of staff might be being paid by the secret services in order to spy on Diana. And as you rightly say, Susanna, that it was those kind of things that played into Diana's fears. We know that she had these kind of paranoias, etc. And you had Rosa Monckton on the show last week, who was saying that she felt there was definitely a change in Princess Diana in September 1995, around the time of the Panorama interview. One thing we do know about William and Harry is they're very, very cautious of the press, particularly Harry. And it's these sort of allegations, and we should be clear, Martin Bashir hasn't given his side of the story yet. But there are these sort of allegations that really do upset both William and Harry.
Andrew, on the front of your paper this morning is a picture of Martin Bashir, the man who's at the centre of this, of course, who undoubtedly could answer a number of the questions that are pertinent to this inquiry, but seemingly is too ill to help the inquiry out.
Yeah, he had COVID earlier this year, and he's had heart-related surgery, we think. But, of course, there was that photograph seen of him just about a week ago, wandering back from the takeaway, buying himself a takeaway. Of course, if he's ill, he must answer the questions when he's fit and healthy. But you could add to what Chris Shipp was saying, some of the other allegations that will presumably have made Prince William throw his hands up in horror were that Martin Bashir told Earl Spencer that Prince William had a watch which enabled him to spy on his mother. Extraordinary allegations. There were 32 different allegations reported by the Daily Mail about how Bashir got that interview. The BBC, remember, at the time conducted an inquiry and cleared him of any impropriety or wrongdoing. Nobody spoke to Earl Spencer, nobody spoke to Princess Diana. And we know that when that interview was secured, it seems to me, by skullduggery and intrigue and dubious means. And let's remind ourselves, if a British newspaper had behaved like that, the BBC would have been screaming blue murder. So I think the BBC have got a lot to answer. Why did they clear Bashir? And when Bashir is healthy enough, he's got to speak out. And remember who did the inquiry at the time, by the way? It was a man called Tony Hall, who was head of news at the BBC. He then went on to become the Director General, no less, the most powerful man within the BBC. He's got serious questions to answer too.
Well, and Chris Shep, you say that, we've heard, this is a remarkable intervention by Prince William. We haven't heard from Prince Harry on this particular issue. What we have heard from Prince Harry, he was at he had made an appearance virtually at the Stand Up for Heroes comedy event in the United States to help raise money for military veterans. And I thought it was interesting, some of the things he was saying. In one appearance, he says he was born into a life of duty, but committed to a life of service. He also has his own personal reflections on this year. Let's just take a look. Well, Chris, I mean, he faced some criticism, didn't he, for that public laying of the wreath. But he's sort of asserting how important his military career has been to him. Meanwhile, we've had new details about Meghan and how much she might have cooperated with the book, Finding Freedom, about their exit this year from the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, that court case, or the pre-trial hearings in this ongoing battle between Meghan and the Mail on Sunday just keep churning up more and more information. And I think a couple of points from yesterday's court papers are that Meghan admits that she did speak to a friend of hers in order to give a specific piece of information to the authors of that book, Finding Freedom, Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand. Now, I mean, that I don't think is particularly helpful to Meghan's case, given that the whole thing's built around privacy and the fact that this letter that she wrote to her father, Thomas Markle, after the royal wedding was her private letter, and the Mail on Sunday should never have published it. I thought the other interesting point in there as well was that she said she spoke to two senior members of the royal family about her father's situation, and she says it was after those conversations that she decided to write the letter. She even showed a draft copy of the letter, which we learned she wrote in the notes section of her iPhone, and she showed that draft copy to a senior member of the Kensington Palace communications team as well. All of those are new facts. Not all of them, I think, are particularly helpful for Meghan's case against the Mail on Sunday.
And it drags senior members of the royal family into that story as well.